and welcome to the Jamie and Stephen Show. Let's talk movies, music and magic. And today we're talking about the second classic film, Pinocchio.
Pinocchio!
Yes. So we start with the synopsis. You had the synopsis.
Yeah, so again, I've went on to IMDb for this. And yeah, this was a much better synopsis than the Snow White one. It said, a living puppet with the help of a cricket as his conscience must prove himself worthy to become a real boy.
Would you like to hear my synopsis?
Go for it.
A naughty brat gets what he deserves.
Oh my god, that's awful.
I don't know. We'll talk about what we thought about it later.
So it was released in 1940.
Yes.
May 1940. And like the original budget was supposed to be like 800,000, but it actually cost 2.5 million.
Yeah, because it didn't make its budget back the first time.
No.
It was the re-release after the war.
Yeah.
It finally broke even.
Yeah, because I was really confused when I read the money that it's made. Because it says that it was a flop. But yeah, it's actually made a lot of money, but it's because of the re-releases.
Yeah.
Because it's made 164 million worldwide.
So I'm just literally sat here counting how many times it's been re-released. Because I wrote the dates down but forgot to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7?
7 times it was re-released. And me and you would have been alive for the final one.
Really?
It was remastered for 1992.
Oh my god.
So, and the first one was 1945.
Yes.
So just
after.
Because Snow White was the first one he re-released.
Mm-hmm.
Made money.
Yeah.
So he did the same with Pinocchio.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, the music. We forgot to talk about the music in Snow White last week.
That's fine.
But we have to talk about the music in this one.
Yes.
Because it's
it's the song.
Yeah. It's the Disney song. Now if you visited any of the parks, you will know that When You Wish Upon a Star is heard a lot and used as like the theme of the company and has been for years.
Film,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, even when I don't think it matters if I hear it on the film or if I hear it at the beginning of any Disney film, you know, with that intro, or if I hear it in the park, it does get me. I'm not saying I'll cry, but it does.
Oh, Jamie.
I know. I know.
Song.
But yeah, it
not Toy Story 2.
It does pull on the heartstrings. And yeah,
it's one of those where the original version is. It's not one of my favourites, but when it's re-released, redone, and sung, I think Linda Ronstadt did a version. It's very, very early 90s. There's a saxophone.
Oh!
Yeah, it's just good.
Okay.
I recommend giving it a listen.
Oh.
So yes, different versions of it I do like, but the original one, I don't know, I just think he's a bit...
What, when Jiminy sings it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, talking...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does need... Sorry, it does need to be a woman. I think it makes a difference when it's a woman.
Because he's very... The voice is a bit... Well, it's a bit too deep.
Yeah.
It's just not... Doesn't hit it for me.
Okay.
So...
Yeah. Before I forget as well, I dug into the original story.
Yes, you said you were going to.
Yeah. So it turns out that it was originally a series in a kids magazine.
Oh.
It's called a serial.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the original Charles Dickens were like that.
Oh, Oh,
They were
right,
in
okay.
magazines. There was
Well,
never
they
a
were
book.
probably around about the same
Most
era.
likely, yeah, 1850s for some.
So, yeah, so the original it was called The Adventures of Pinocchio.
Okay, original.
And yeah, it was first read in 1881. So that was when the series started.
Okay, yeah.
And
So it
then
would be Charles Dickens and Sherlock Holmes for
yeah,
this side of the pond.
yes. And obviously, because it was so successful, it then was published into a novel. And I read bits from like key points that were clearly not in the versions that we've seen, because like Snow White, it has been remade loads of times, especially for TV.
Yeah.
And most recently, obviously, not only by Disney themselves, but by Netflix, because that Guillermo, he made the stop motion one.
You're looking at me and I've got no idea what you're on about.
Yeah, so that director, Guillermo, he did Pan's Labyrinth and Lady in the Water.
No.
Not Lady in the Water.
We both know that I don't watch films, Jamie.
Well, anyway, he's Spanish. Or he might be South American. No, I think he's... Anyway.
If they're not Scottish, she doesn't know.
But yeah, he did his version, and I think it's stop motion. It's for Netflix. And apparently it was a hit. But still, it's nowhere near as dark as the original stories. And considering they were in children's magazines, I'm quite shocked at some of the things that were in the book. So I've written down two.
Okay.
So one thing that happens is Geppetto ends up in prison.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's why.
Pinocchio kills Jiminy.
Oh.
Yeah, although he's not called Jiminy.
No.
He's called the Talking Cricket.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he was killed with a mallet.
Ah.
Yeah. And
that might have made this film a bit more interesting.
you're evil. Lampwick.
I'm evil. He's just killed a creature with a mallet.
Yeah, Lampwick also dies in the original story.
You're gonna have to... Is that the little boy?
Yes.
The little boy, yeah. They were voiced by the same person.
Were they?
Yeah. I had to reread what I was doing 3 times because I was sure I was getting it wrong. But yeah, the same person, and I had to go back and watch it to see if the voices were the same, and
you wouldn't
really.
know.
No, well, I didn't know.
No, yeah, I mean, I've only watched it recently as well, and I would never have said that was the same voice.
I just thought that was like,
oh wow, talented.
Yeah. Well, he was a voice actor of that time. He was a young voice, because originally someone else was going to do the voice as an older man. But he wanted a young boy.
Right.
I didn't write his name down, but I know it's Dickie something.
Okay.
Because he was, he did westerns and things.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh wow. So, have you got any other interesting facts?
Well, we mentioned the song, obviously, When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah.
So I like to know what other people have done. We're watching TV and I'm like, what are they in?
Yes.
So I do have a little look, and the voice of Jiminy Cricket was Cliff Edwards, who was also known as Ukulele Ike. Now, he was quite big in the 30s, 40s, and he was actually hired for this role because he was a star.
Okay. Oh.
And Disney actually hired all stars in this film.
Oh, right, okay.
And he basically was quite big. He did loads of different songs. He basically played the ukulele, and it was that music at that time.
Yeah.
And he was like one of the biggest. Mm-hmm. And then he was married 3 times, but he continued to get in debt and have to pay alimony.
Right.
So by the time that he was approaching the end of his life in the 70s, early 70s, so this would be the 60s, he had no money, and he was an alcoholic, And what he would do was scrounge around the studios at Disney. And he would go around and he'd be asking for money, for food, and if you've got any bit parts that I can just do. And the animators took pity on him and would take him out for a sandwich. And he'd tell him anecdotes of when he was a star and things. But he, when he died, the body went unclaimed.
Oh my God, that is so sad.
It was handed over to medical science or a university.
Yeah.
And Disney found out and basically said, we will buy the body. Because that's what you can do, apparently.
Okay.
And it was actually, I think it's the Actors Guild or a group, a union of actors. They actually bought the body. And Disney paid for his memorial slab.
Okay.
And it turned out years later that Disney had been paying for his medical bills. Like they'd looked after him in that way.
Wow.
So yeah, it just turned into a really sad story. So
that is sad.
When we kind of talk about how big that song is and what it's based on, it's like, I mean, I've never heard the name Cliff Edwards or Ukulele Ike.
No.
And, he lived to, I think it was 71, so he would have appeared in different things at different times.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that I could find that he was in was in Dumbo, and he voiced the head crow. So he also sang When I See an Elephant Fly.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, I just thought it was really...
That was sad. That is a sad story.
Yeah, I bet you're glad I brought that up.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
Have you got any stories that might be that one?
Oh, well. I read into the actor that played Geppetto. Mm-hmm. So his name is Christian Rubb. And what is also quite interesting is that obviously at the time that this would have been made, because obviously it was released in 1940, you're talking like from Snow White or even before.
Yeah.
So 1936 to 1940, because I think the whole idea was, before that, but the actual process of making the film started the late 30s. And this guy, Christian Rubb, was a Nazi sympathiser. And when he was in the studio, because like they did in Snow White, they would get actors to perform to help the animators animate scenes.
Because the blue fairy, she was the model as well.
Yes.
So it was based very much on that.
So he was around the studio a lot, not only to do his voice work, but to do this acting, modelling work.
Was he goose marching?
Oh God, I hope not. But yeah, and apparently he would really annoy the animators by going on and on about he who must not be named. We'll say that. And they did eventually get their own back on it. Apparently they needed to film the scene in Monstro.
Okay.
And so they had him in a boat.
Yeah.
And apparently they basically tortured him on that boat and made him feel... I mean, not... I would have liked it if it to been worse. But, that's what they did. They basically, shook this boat so that, it was, the worst ride of his life.
Do you know what? And it must have been awkward. And, we look back on it. But obviously at this time, there wasn't a Second World War.
No, and especially not for America, because they weren't in the war at that point.
So even when the film was released, they weren't in the war. I mean, we were in Europe, but only by a year. Yeah. So it's kind of those very early...
I know.
It's very weird, but he wasn't the original voice actor.
Oh, was he not?
They replaced...
Oh, no!
They replaced someone with Nazi.
Oh, God.
To be fair, it was replaced because Walt didn't like the original voice. It was too gruff and a bit too sharp and edgy, and he wanted more of a friendly, fatherly voice. I was going to say figure there, never mind. But Walt did change the film He hated the original.
Okay.
He basically, it got to the point where he hated it so much that he actually stopped production, I think, for about 6 months, or up to 6 months, and he was like, you need to redo this. He hated Pinocchio, the character, hated the way that it was drawn, hated the voice of Geppetto. He just didn't like it.
Yeah, and I also read as well that they were struggling to animate Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so because they wanted him to be true size, because of how small he would be in comparison.
Yeah.
And in the end, I think they had to draw him big, but then reduce it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Do you know what? One of my little things here. So, when I was doing like Disney essays and things, I found out that the Xerox machine wasn't first used in 101 Dalmatians.
Oh.
So photocopying that, it was Sleeping Beauty. However, in Pinocchio, for Jiminy Cricket, they used an early version of what a photocopier is in that film.
Oh.
So technically,
it was Pinocchio.
That was the first to use the copier.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think I've known that fact for 24 hours yet.
Oh. I didn't know that. That wasn't in my book. So you were saying that the Blue Fairy, she also modelled.
Yes. She did all of the bits, and the it was actually one of the first films to have like effects animators.
Oh.
And because they'd not been used before. And one of the main effects were with the Blue Fairy.
Was that for, like, her glow?
The glow, when the wand kind of taps Pinocchio, and there's that. It was all of that, as well as the thunder and lightning. I actually thought they were thunder and lightning in Snow White.
Yeah, they did do thunder and lightning in Snow White, because it's at the end when the witch...
So I'm wondering whether they did it, and because it was so good...
They reused it.
Rehired this person as that role.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. And she's famous for something else, the Blue Fairy, isn't she?
No.
The actress.
No.
She is!
No.
She is!
No, go on then. You tell me what you think she's famous for, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. Wasn't she the original model for the Columbia Studios logo?
Depends who you ask.
Oh.
She says she was. Columbia have never confirmed that she was.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's one of those he said, she said sort of stories.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you look at her, yes, she's that person. It's just stupid.
They're just being...
They're just saying, they're just trying to keep a distance from...
Maybe because they didn't want to pay her.
Yeah.
Because it's such a famous logo.
Yeah, they probably would be like...
And they probably didn't pay her properly.
Yeah. But yes, they never, ever, it's never been confirmed.
Dicks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It won Academy Awards.
Did it?
Yes. It won 2.
One for the song?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
the famous song.
I only know that because the most recent one was Pocahontas. I don't think anyone's won one since Pocahontas. For
For the song? Frozen?
Yeah. I don't think that won.
I did.
Did it?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. But we'll get to that when we reach those films.
I'll Google it.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, I mean, Snow White was nominated for the score.
Yes.
And obviously he's got that famous honorary Oscar set of the seven that was given to him by Shirley Temple.
Yes.
But they actually won for When You Wish Upon a Star and for the score as well. So it was their first official Academy Awards for an animated feature.
But it bombed.
Yes, it did bomb. Originally, yes.
I mean, it's due to the war. You have to give it some credit.
Well, exactly. And obviously, I think
You might remember that bit
The
later
next-
in this podcast.
the next few films, unfortunately, will suffer from that. But it's just, of course, who's going to go to the cinema when there's a war going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's understandable. But yeah. Did you have anything else to share with the group?
One or two.
Okay.
One or two bits. Just little bits. I'm just going to sneak in there. So, Mel Blanc was the voice of Gideon the cat. Do we know Mel Blanc?
The name rings a bell.
It's Bugs Bunny.
Oh!
Yes, and an array of Looney Tunes characters.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure he did Sylvester, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. Like, we're talking the main guy.
Yeah, like Frank Oz did the
Yes.
main Muppets. Yeah.
Played Gideon the cat. However, when I watched it, Gideon the cat doesn't speak.
No.
He just does the noises.
Yeah.
And when I looked into it further, his name will keep cropping up over the next number of films as just voices and noises and things. Jiminy Cricket was a later addition. Wasn't in the original version of the film when Walt changed
Disney's.
it. Yes, yeah.
Right,
Disney's,
okay.
Yeah.
Probably because in the original story he gets killed.
Probably, yeah. And so we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that this was the second classic, but it was actually meant to be the third.
Yeah.
Do you know what the second was meant to be?
It was Bambi, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was like...
But it took too long.
Well, they couldn't animate the animals properly.
Right.
So they just moved it along a bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well is there was going to be a sequel.
Was there?
Yes, it was going to be one of those early 2000s sequels.
Oh.
And when John Lasseter, we'll talk about him more at Chicken Little.
Okay.
When John Lasseter came along, it was one of those that were cancelled.
Thank God.
I did know what the plot was going to be, but it's in this film, it's about him and his conscience, about learning to be a good boy.
Okay.
In the sequel, it was going to be about him something like being true to himself, finding like.
Okay.
Yeah, it was along those lines.
Right.
Yeah, it was cancelled, so we can all praise whoever we want to praise.
Oh, yes. I have one interesting. Well, I have a couple more, but
sorry, I forgot
this
to
one.
ask Jamie. Do you have any more interesting facts before we get on to my complete, killing of a review?
Oh. Yeah, I read that Figaro.
Yes.
Was Walt's favourite character.
I did know that I wondered why Figaro appeared with Minnie Mouse afterwards.
Yes, and that is the reason. Oh. And then he had his own shorts as well, four of his own shorts, and then he would appear alongside Minnie. And as well, he because of his perfectionism.
Yes.
He wanted Figaro to be have a highlight. So after Figaro was completed, he made the painters go back and paint a highlight on every single cell.
Oh, so he was popular at that time then, wasn't he?
Yeah. And because he thought that would improve the film by having this highlight on the cat. Because he was such a perfectionist. To
be fair, I did like the fish.
Cleo,
yes.
Cleo was an itty bitty fish. An itty bitty fish.
Oh God, people will sue. But yeah, I did like the animation of the cat, and it's one of the bits that I put down. I liked the cat and the fish.
Yeah,
Cleo. I liked not the fish in the goldfish, the fish in the ocean.
Oh!
I liked that animation.
Right.
But Cleo the fish, I forget she exists, or he exists, I don't know.
It's a she.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a she. Yeah, when you were saying about the production being halted, I did read that apparently he couldn't decide, and this could have been one of the reasons why like you found out that the film got stopped. Well,
Okay.
paused.
Yes.
He couldn't decide to go either towards more puppet or more human-like
Yes.
with Pinocchio.
So there was 2 different versions of Pinocchio as a concept, as a character, and they were very much puppets. And the version that we see, and I wish I could remember the guy's name who designed it, is one of the 9 old men.
Yeah, is
anyway.
it Frank Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Ollie Johnson
Yes.
were both on Pinocchio, I think.
they drew a little boy,
Yeah.
and then they just drew the little hinges on
Yeah.
his legs and changed the nose.
Yeah.
And a character was born.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can spot him. Like, you know that
Yes.
that's Pinocchio, even if you've not seen the film.
Yeah.
It is, even his outfit is iconic,
He's
you know.
known.
The hat with the feather, the
Yeah.
little, you know, dungarees
Oh,
outfit
yes.
on that he's got, you know. And
I
the
wonder
way...
if that's why Chucky wears dungarees.
Could be. Yeah, it could be because
Just
they're...
putting that out
Well,
there.
he's a doll
Yes.
and Pinocchio's a puppet.
Yeah.
It's same.
I've often wondered whether Toy Story's Andy is based on Chucky's Andy. That sounds random.
I don't know, yeah.
I think this has got more reasoning with it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
have to find out. If you do a podcast on horror films, please let me know.
Yeah, did you have any more? I don't think I've got... Oh, I did
Oh.
find out when it was first released on VHS. That's video to those who don't know what VHS is.
And the video is...
A very large cassette that you would put in a machine. Yeah, 1985, a year before I was born.
With
So-
Robin Hood.
Oh, I don't know. It just says its first release on video was in 1985.
Because I know it was the second of a range.
Okay.
And the first of the range was Robin Hood, which was 1984.
Well, when we get to Robin Hood, we'll
So,
probably find out.
yes.
But yeah, and the thing is, it makes sense that it came out in 85 because I remember having Pinocchio on video.
See, I never did. We had a copy that had adverts
Oh.
in between and the ITV logo.
So it'd been recorded.
So it's been recorded. And I made myself a little case.
Aww.
Pinocchio written on the side. Spelled incorrectly.
I think I had Snow White recorded before it officially came out on video because my mum said I used to watch that all the time. But if it wasn't released until 94,
Yeah.
it must have been a recorded off of the TV when it was
Yeah,
on.
I had Pinocchio. I had Winnie the Pooh recorded from the TV as
Oh,
well.
did ya?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were cheap in our house.
Oh. No, it's not cheap. It's like
Sat
handy.
there at
That,
Christmas, like, we'll record that.
that was the beauty of a video recorder.
I'm not paying a fiver. You can actually record onto Blu-ray now.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, yes. So you can have recordable DVDs
Oh.
and recordable Blu-ray. And one of the worries of the collecting community of all of these bits is that there are going to be certain things that are lost to time that we wouldn't necessarily care about, but going completely off topic, but when The Sound of Music was first broadcast in the UK,
Uh-huh.
they made a special trailer. ITV made a trailer
Oh,
for
okay.
saying, oh, Christmas Day,
Yeah.
like this. And as time goes on, obviously, those trailers sometimes become the actual actors doing little skits or little bits. Well, after the 2000s, when videos kind of faded away,
Yeah, and
because
died.
people don't record onto DVDs, it's just a worry that a lot of those things are going to get lost.
Yeah.
Lost into time, lost media.
Oh.
So, anyway, back on topic. Let's talk about a boring film.
I also found out in my book that it was during Pinocchio that they moved from Hyperion Avenue to Burbank.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, Burbank is where we all know
Yes, yeah.
is the animation building, that famous one with the
Yes.
dwarfs holding it up. So, yeah.
Put a little pin in that for when we go to Little Mermaid.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because they move again. Yeah. The nephew of the original writer, so his name is Paolo Lorenzini.
Oh, yeah.
Nephew of Carlo Collodi.
Yep, I know him well, apparently.
Hated Disney's version.
A lot do.
Yeah, hated it.
A lot do.
And tried to sue them over it.
Oh, brilliant.
Which, obviously, they failed.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing many TV versions, but they've kind of like...
Merged.
Yeah, they've merged. But I remember that, you know, every so often there would be, so-and-so's Pinocchio, and, there would be British people that will have done it. There was Americans, there were, but they all kind of stuck with Disney's, synopsis. And they didn't tend to really go down the road of the original books.
Whacking Jiminy Cricket with,
yeah.
with a mallet. The version I remember, and I'd never watched it, but I always remember just seeing it on front of video cassettes in places like the Co-op and things, and it was that really cheap animation that was not Disney.
Yes.
But tried to be.
Yeah.
And it was always there, and it was always like $2.99. And yeah, it was always with like a Snow White and Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
It was always them. Yeah, I do remember that. I can remember what that video looks like.
There's one that I remember, and it was live action.
Okay.
And I remember people getting excited because it was live action, and they'd used like a puppet, like Muppets, as Pinocchio.
Okay.
So it was, I'm sure it was that, because it was before CGI. This was like the 90s.
Yeah. Proper.
Yeah.
Proper effects.
I kind of like that. I can picture that in my head, and I remember that being a big thing at the time. And once again, I'm sure it was in 2 parts, where you watched one part one week and the next part the other.
I was too busy watching me recorded off the TV version of Disney's Pinocchio.
But they all, like I say, the point is that they all tend to go to Disney's story plot rather than the original.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
I didn't know there was any. I knew it was based on a book, but I thought it was something similar along to Snow White.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, we said that Snow White, there wasn't a lot of plot.
No.
But it was based on like a short fairy tale.
Yeah.
Where this is, you say a series of books.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they've got too much material.
Yeah.
And they've just had to be really picky about what they showed.
And obviously make it so that it's watchable for all ages. Because like I say, it's hard to believe that was a children's novel.
Yeah.
And apparently it's one of... And they're not 100% sure on the sales, because at the time that the original story would have been released, the original novel, because it was in Italy, they haven't got it on record accurately.
Yeah.
But they think that it could be the most sold children's book in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and apparently it's the one that's been when you change the language.
Oh, yeah.
They said it's second to the Bible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When I was reading up about the original novel, it's second to the Bible or close to. Like, it's there in that.
Which is weird, because when I was younger, I never read it.
No, neither did I.
No.
It wasn't a book that I had. Never had that.
Weirdly enough, I read the original Peter Pan, the original Wind in the Willows, the original Black Cauldron series. So the fact that Pinocchio was a book, and within the same kind of areas. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't even remember seeing Pinocchio as a book.
No, neither do I.
Like,
I think it was one of those that I thought of till I was older, that Disney had, it was an original Disney story, not adaptation.
yeah, I mean, I just thought it was like a fairy tale kind of thing. Say like Snow White.
But yeah. Wow. Well, we've learned something
We have. We've
each
done
today.
quite- yes.
Yes. So, shall we discuss what we thought of the film?
Do you know what? We've talked about the voice of Jiminy Cricket dying poor and
Yeah.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about people's political views.
Oh, yeah.
So let's book ourselves up a little bit. I'll let you go first with the
Right,
review.
okay. Yeah,
I'll bring you back down later.
Okay. Yeah. Pinocchio for me is... I'll put it on,
Okay.
right? And I had it on a lot when I was a kid. Like, I remember playing that video a lot. And
Okay.
even though it was upsetting for me as a kid,
Yeah.
I still liked it. I think it was because of the songs. Because, like we mentioned earlier, there, Wish Upon a Star.
yeah.
But I've got no
Do
strings.
you know what I didn't know? The Give a Little Whistle.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was from Pinocchio. I thought
Did
that
you?
was later. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what film it was from. I thought it was something like Mary Poppins or something like that. I did not think it was from...
See, those two
Pinocchio.
songs I loved when I was a kid. And I also had the sing-along videos as well. And Give a Little Whistle was in one of them. And I would play them over and over. But yeah, I remember watching it a lot when I was a kid. Even though it was upsetting to watch, I still enjoyed it for some reason. Watching it as an adult, it's... I still find it, I still find it quite upsetting to watch in certain bits. Like, I feel that it's quite a dark story, even though Disney sort of put their Disneyness on it. I still feel it's quite dark, especially I know that the witch was scary, and the forest was scary in Snow White, but this film, the Pinocchio, it's quite
It's dark all the way through, really.
It's got a dark undertone.
Yeah, and for me, it's literally as soon as Pinocchio becomes alive, it goes really dark.
Yeah, and this whole, having to, the whole learning what's right and wrong.
He's a day old.
Listening to
He's a day old.
Listening to your conscience, and then straight away he's influenced by Gideon and
Go on, because I don't know.
oh my god,
The other one.
It'll come to me. The fox.
Is one of them called like Stranette? Oh no.
Honest John. That's it. So it's Gideon and Honest John. And then obviously it doesn't stop from there.
No.
And even though I know what's going to happen in the film, like, it still pains me to watch him go away and walk away with these strangers. And it's like, I just want to shout, "Stranger danger!" And, Jiminy Cricket has got a big task.
Yeah, for considering someone who was just squatting for the night,
Yeah.
so just wants a badge. Yeah.
And he's got this, responsibility.
Yeah, he should have just sent in a picture to Blue Peter if he wanted a badge.
And the other thing as well, how sudden Geppetto was willing to go to school.
Yeah,
off you go. Here's an apple for the teacher.
Yeah, creep.
Like, what?
Yeah.
He's just been made alive, and you're sending him off to school already.
Yeah.
I'd be protecting him.
I
I wouldn't be sending him off to school.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, and again, like Snow White, I am mesmerised by the beauty of the film. It is visually appealing. Again,
I found some of it, so the streets. Mm-hmm. The streets was very, I thought that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And it did feel Italian.
Mm-hmm.
But then towards the end, when it gets to the bit where they're kind of it's Pleasure Island.
Yeah.
I thought the animation at that point slipped.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, because there's a carriage with all the kids' faces.
Yes.
It's just circles with smiley faces on that just
Oh,
pop up and
yeah.
down, and it continues like that
Mm-hmm.
across the boat. And then when it
Yeah.
gets to Pleasure Island, the only time that I thought that the animation looked nice was when it was all destroyed towards the end.
Yeah.
And you had like the carousel that was broken on its side, and you still had the roller coaster around.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, that looks really eerie.
Uh-huh.
And I must admit, I did like those two bits.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, well, you liked something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Was that?
Well, no, I was just going to finish off my bit and say that I will put it on. I'm not going to say it's my favourite.
No.
But it's funny how, like, even today, people, without probably knowing that it comes from that film or that story, you know, the whole, well, if you tell a lie, your nose will grow.
Yes.
You know, that's from, and, you know, that used to scare me as a kid.
Yes.
Okay, nowadays kids will be like, oh, yeah, whatever.
We're going to try that tomorrow.
I think I've already tried to say it to Finlay and he said, no, it won't, but we'll try it tomorrow.
Yeah, if we all kind of like
I have
I
have told him that he'll turn into a donkey.
Do you know what?
That might be evil.
I was told when I was younger that if I was naughty, then I would turn into a donkey.
Yeah,
And where
if
the
Finlay
saying,
moans.
you become an ass comes from is what I was told as a kid.
Because obviously the ride in Disneyland Paris, again, like the Snow White ride, it's not necessarily the full story, and the large part of the one in Paris is the Pleasure Island part.
Yeah.
And so Finlay has seen the ride more than the film. I think he's only watched the film twice.
Yeah, it's on par with me now.
And I have said to him, like, if he's moaned at me, oh, do you hear that? That sounds like a donkey. And
do the noise.
No, I won't do the noise. No. Just because, like, when he's doing, like, coughing and puffing, I'll be like, oh, I can hear a donkey. And he'll be like, no, you can't, no, you can't. And I'll be like, if you carry on moaning, you might turn into a donkey, you know. So I'm using two things for my parental guidance in how to discipline a child. Just tell them their nose will grow.
Yeah, or they'll turn into a donkey. I did think that was quite sad, actually, where he was screaming for his mum.
Oh, don't. I hate that bit.
I must admit, that was not so much the kid that's, like, tempting Pinocchio. It was the random kid that could still talk.
Yeah.
And he just gets thrown away.
That Jiminy sees.
Yeah, I thought that was really...
Yeah, that was really upset. Yeah, very upsetting to watch that. Yeah. And the way that it sounds as well, like, and I used to, when I watched it as a kid, like, it used to really scare me, and I used to, you know, always get scared that I would be taken away from
stranger danger,
my mum and dad or my grandma, and it always frightened me that, you know, so yeah, I'm not gonna say that it's a good film to put on to enjoy. I think it's a film...
We might agree with something.
Oh, I think it's a film to put on...
When you want to sleep.
No. Just
when you want to scare your kids shitless that they might turn into a donkey.
It's for the morale behind the story. And... Yeah. But no. Is it my favourite? No. If I was going to choose between Pinocchio and Snow White, I don't know. I'd probably choose Pinocchio over Snow White to watch because it's got a better story, a stronger story, and it's got, you know, the those two songs albeit there's only 2 of them, apart from When You Wish Upon a Star, but Got No Strings and, Give a Little Whistle. They're so iconic.
Yeah.
And, they're the happy parts of the film. I wrote down like a couple of the bits that I thought were impressive with the animation.
Yeah, I said that the effects with certain bits. I mean, the fairy.
Yeah.
I still don't know how they got the fairy see-through.
I know.
With animation and paint, and I just don't know how they did that.
And when she first,
Yes, just
with
kind of
Pinocchio,
like
taps him, and that glow, and all of a sudden his eyes start blinking. It's magical, which is what Disney movies are all about.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to, crying donkeys and kidnapping of children.
The animation there was really good. It just, as I say, I think they had bits that just slipped in quality for me. And although actually this time round, Jiminy Cricket was a brilliant character.
Yeah.
He was funny, he was relatable, even though in reality this was nearly 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed him.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed his animation. I enjoyed just the little bits that he did. Like there's a bit where he puts a stone in his hat and then he falls upside down. He's like, oh, I'm going to put it down the wrong end.
Yeah.
So he opens his trousers to put it there and a fish kind of just peeps over.
Yes.
It's stupid humour.
Yeah.
But I did like that. I did like the whole bit underwater.
Yeah,
with
I
the
did.
fish. The whale, not so much, but the whole underwater, how everything was just kind of floaty and I enjoyed that, and the voices that they did, and Although how long did Jiminy hold his breath for underneath the water? Like Pinocchio's a puppet.
Yeah, so technically.
I could.
Yeah.
But Jiminy's like.
That was just obviously something.
I'll just go for an hour of stroll.
That was just something that Walt had decided. No, we're just going to pretend he can breathe underwater. We're not going to go into detail.
No, which they clearly didn't. I like that. And the other thing about Jiminy is, harking back to actually a film I do really like. Jiminy Cricket kind of took the role of Gonzo and Rizzo in Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
He was telling the story. He was the narrator.
Yeah.
He was like with us, and he spoke to us.
Yeah.
I really liked that, and I must admit I've never liked that before. I never got the appeal of Jiminy Cricket, but I did enjoy Jiminy Cricket. Yeah,
I would say he is definitely one of the best parts of that film, and what I think probably is one of the reasons why I watched it so much as a kid.
Yeah.
Because of him.
Yeah. Because Pinocchio is boring. And I can't relate to an old man.
Well. No. I mean, if anything, Geppetto is boring. They just... I don't really think they knew what to do with him. Which was a shame.
And it just...
But Pinocchio, for me, looks appealing.
Yes.
Like, I can watch him.
Yeah.
Because I loved the character design.
Yeah. No, it is really there was so.
But at the same time, really I'm screaming at the TV, "Don't go, stranger danger!"
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
That's the end of the film.
Yeah.
And I still don't know. Who's the villain?
I know. I was just going to say this is probably the one film that Disney's made where there's multiple villains.
Because I remember when the DVD and Blu-ray came out and they had the special villain O-ring.
Oh yeah.
It was I think it's
Stromboli.
Stromboli.
Yeah.
He was on the front, and then when you kind of see villainy things and stuff like that, they use the whale Monstro.
Yeah.
But I actually thought that the one who took the kids to Pleasure Island, I thought he was the worst.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked the worst as well. Because let's face it, the fox and Gideon the cat, they were just capitalist wannabes.
Yeah, they were like artful dodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were just, trying to get the money
Quick
where they
buck.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't actually think that Stromboli was the worst person in that
No.
film. He was just a bit of a...
He was very,
He's a bit of a dick.
Yeah,
Like,
very
it's the only
angry.
way- it's the only way I could
Yeah.
explain that.
Scary. He was probably, in terms of size and how he projected his voice,
Yeah.
would be scary to a child.
The
Whereas,
whale,
well,
I didn't...
the fact that they
Yeah,
made a
really.
whale a monster anyway, because
yeah.
whales aren't monsters.
The black and white ones are.
What, an orca?
The killer whales.
Yeah, an orca.
Yeah. Oh,
But they're
okay.
not the size of...
No.
I mean, he's
didn't-
made to look like...
I didn't like any of that.
yeah.
Didn't like those bits. Yeah, still didn't know. But I do think it's the coachman who's the villain of the piece. But yeah,
There is
know.
multiple,
Yeah,
like, bad people. People that you're supposed to avoid, but yet Pinocchio manages to be involved with every
You know
single one.
I
And
think
that's probably the point of the film.
I think it's the blue fairy.
It's her fault.
It's her fault. She's the villain.
Yeah, if she only left him as a puppet.
Yeah, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And not only that, but when they did need help, she opened a little cage.
Yeah.
And then when he's turning into a donkey, or being swallowed by a whale,
Yeah.
or being kidnapped,
I know. She wasn't there.
she's like, "Beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, beep." Just looking the other way. So talk about the big responsibility on
Yeah.
Jiminy Cricket. It's like,
Yeah.
what's she up to?
So
Getting out
ultimately-
some posing for Columbus Pictures. That's
Yeah.
what she was doing.
So ultimately, we liked how it looked. We liked the
To an
songs.
extent, yes. Yeah.
We appreciate the things that were done at that time.
Yes.
And what he created in order to get the effects that he wanted
Yes,
for
yeah.
like the fairy, the water,
Yeah.
and all that. We both like Jiminy.
Yes.
But I think ultimately the story is hard to watch.
I just found it boring.
So you found it boring, but I found
Yeah.
I just find it hard to watch.
Maybe it's because you're a parent, you've got the child.
Maybe.
Whereas me, I'm like, someone do something to it. For God's sake.
Many people do.
I know. I think if they'd have concentrated on one part of it
Yeah.
and made that into the story, whereas I just felt it was a bit like Aladdin 3, where it's 3 stories
Yeah.
pushed into one.
And yet they cut so much out of the original.
Yeah.
So could you imagine if
I think
they'd stuck?
I think they could have just focused on one bit.
Yeah.
And then keep the whale in, but just focus on one bit.
Mm.
And then I think that would have made a bit more of a decent story.
Yeah.
Because by the time I can't remember any of the side characters' names.
Right.
And that,
Yeah.
to me, is, you should at least know 1 or 2.
I think as well, what doesn't help with the story is also that they've done it in a day. Like this has
Yeah.
all happened in
Yeah.
24 hours or
But then
36 hours.
Geppetto sold up his shop and the spider webs everywhere,
Yeah.
and he's got swallowed by a whale,
Yeah,
and
but-
he's been there long enough to run out of
Yeah.
fish.
But he doesn't get to school. He goes to Stromboli. He performs.
Yeah.
He's in the coach.
Yeah, his kid.
Um,
That's the next day.
so
'cause
that's-
it's daylight again.
Right. And then,
Then he's kidnapped to Pleasure Island.
yeah, which is at night.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so
Then
it's
he goes
3
back
days.
in the day again.
Yeah. Because it's Stromboli's in the day.
And then,
So it's 3 days.
Yeah.
Still, that was a quick selling up of that shop or locking up of that shop.
it is not easy to
And to
sell
manage
building at
to
this
build a
time.
boat
Yeah.
and get swallowed by a whale.
Yeah.
One last
That's just
thing.
carelessness.
One last thing before we start to wrap up, but I do also want to make a note of one of the things that I also don't like in the film, and it's because, again, I think it's because I'm a parent, is when Pinocchio is in the coach and Stromboli has just locked him in the cage.
Yeah.
And he moves the cart, and as the cart goes by, Geppetto walks past and he's got his lantern. Oh, that kills me because it's so close. It's like, he's there! He's in the coach! You know, and that's hard to watch, that bit.
Yeah,
because it's like, and they redo that similar in the remake as well, and that's also...
I think even if they remade the film, I won't watch it.
Oh, well, we'll get on to that. But overall...
Well, I was going to just say, because it's one of those points that you do see everywhere.
Uh-huh.
What are your opinions on the smoking and the drinking? Because they're obviously children.
Oh.
Do you care or don't you care?
I don't care.
No,
because the point is they're supposed to be booing bad.
Well, yeah, because they're turning into acid.
Yeah.
That's the whole...
yeah.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be doing the smoking and the drinking and doing the adult stuff. And that's why they become bad. Like, they're bad children. And at that time, that was obviously what they...
Yes. Do you know what? It was weird. I've never had an issue with anything before. But when Pinocchio, he's taken his first puff and it
and he goes green.
And whatnot.
Yeah.
But then he continues having that cigar in his mouth.
Yes.
And that was a bit... Because he's already tried it, he knows he doesn't like it.
Yeah, but he keeps...
But he continues, and it doesn't have any long effect on him.
Yeah.
I just thought that they could have made something more with that.
Yeah.
Like...
Or done it that he took the drag of the cigar
I have no
and then put it away.
It'd just be like...
But the fact that he's still... Because he has it in his mouth as he's trying to hit the ball, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all. But... You know, I'm not going to pick it outside.
Oh God, no! I mean, at the end of the day, if anything, it's to portray that.
Well, yeah, it showed that
those things are only for adults, and
it's a moral story.
Yeah. So no, it never bothered me.
No.
And I've never. Finley's never asked me about it when we've watched Pinocchio.
I don't think kids pick up those things in cartoons, especially.
Yeah.
Because it's a cartoon thing.
Yeah.
It's like an anvil.
Yeah.
They do exist.
Yeah.
But they're in cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone's seen a real anvil.
No.
But we all know what one looks like.
Do we?
Because of cartoons.
What's an anvil?
You know when they drop a heavy anvil on Wildy and Coyote and it's, you know, like a safe or it's the anvil with Acme written on it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And, that's...
Yeah. But no, it doesn't bother me. And I'm a parent and... Yeah.
But I did see a lot when I was looking up this...
And when I watched it as a kid, I didn't all of a sudden want to smoke because Pinocchio smoked.
I didn't know he smoked. I did not know he smoked. I thought that they drank.
Yeah, you remember the drinking. I remembered
the drinking
but the smoking you didn't really remember.
Smoking, no idea. And I was actually... Because when I was... Because I did a bit of research before I watched the film. And for some reason, I had it in my head that they'd CGI'd the cigar out.
Oh, okay.
But they hadn't.
No.
So I was extra... Maybe that's why I noticed it more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, they've kept the gag in, fair enough. And then when he had it again...
Yeah.
I was suddenly like,
oh. Yeah.
So, and it didn't help that I didn't think the animation was brilliant around that part of the film.
Okay.
I thought it was a bit more like short animation.
Yeah.
Rather than feature film.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I thought. I suppose we have to give it a mark out of 5.
I'm going to stick with 3. Because I can watch it.
I half want to put Snow White down to a 2 so I can match Pinocchio with it. Pinocchio definitely a 2, I'm afraid.
Okay.
If 0 was, please just destroy it and we'll pretend it never happened, and 1 is then Pinocchio has to be a 2.
Okay. So. No, I can watch it and I like the songs, and there's bits in it that I like. It's not the worst, but yeah, a 3. I'm going to go in the middle. I think as well because it was the second one, and I feel like it's apparently classed as like one of the greatest.
Well, it's culturally significant.
Yeah.
It's in like it's been archived.
Yeah, it's protected.
Yeah, it's protected. Yeah.
So you've not watched the remake,
No.
right? But having not watched the remake and only watched the original, would you say it needed to be remade?
No.
Okay.
And
so even though you didn't
like it, I kind of just. The thing is, everything, even in this podcast, we've been talking about how we love the Jiminy Cricket character as a cartoon character, and the relatability of that. We liked the artwork, we liked the special effects, and we liked the design of Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm.
What we agreed on is the film isn't the best.
Yeah.
So why take away all the elements we liked and remake the bit we didn't like?
Yeah.
So I'm afraid not. I don't think.
But do you not think it would have been a good opportunity to make it better?
Do you know what? I'm going to stick. I'm a purist.
Okay.
So they kind of would have to make it fit with the original.
Okay.
Or else there's no point in remaking it. I stand by that.
Okay. Well, I've seen the remake.
Yes.
And it's not got a good score on IMDb. I can't remember what it is, but it's
reputation either. I know that it was panned by critics when it came out.
Yeah.
And,
it didn't go to the cinema. It went straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah. That was more to do with the COVID era.
No.
Though. Was it not?
No, because it was only last year it came out.
Oh. I related it with COVID.
No, it was only last year. So like Lady and the Tramp, it was a Disney Plus original.
Yes.
Not Disney Pictures.
Yeah.
I like it the same as I like the original.
Okay.
They extend a couple of things, like the Stromboli bit is stronger, I think, in the film than in the original.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks as Geppetto.
Well, Tom Hanks is just one of those magic people.
Yeah,
isn't
he was.
Like,
although I think they should have gone with an Italian because the story's Italian. I think they could have really taken advantage of that.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
However, Tom Hanks as Geppetto was. I mean, I think he, almost makes the movie. Yeah. And to me, he saves the movie, and they give Geppetto the character development and background in everything that the original should have had. So he's got more to say. He's in the film more. You can see the love that he has for Pinocchio. And it's not a whale. So they actually do a sea monster, which makes sense because it is Italy and they're legends of sea monsters. Pleasure Island is toned down, I think, from the original, I would say. Although Luke Evans plays the coachman.
Okay.
And he's quite good and he's quite scary looking as well. They've made him a bit like from Oliver Hagen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Looks like him.
Do you know what? Actually, Luke Evans, he's one of those people that you just have to look out for. When he's in something, it's usually good.
Yeah.
I think whether it's him or his agent.
And they gave him a song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Why have him if you can't?
So, yeah. I can watch the remake. Did I think it needed to be made?
Go on. Agree with me.
No.
Go on.
It didn't need to be made because it wasn't better. Like, massively better than the original. They did bits better, but then they missed out on opportunities in other scenes. Like Gideon and Honest John. Now, they keep Gideon a mute. And Honest John is played by the guy that does the voice of, it's either Bunny or Ducky from Toy Story 4.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So you know, he's a known voice.
Yeah.
But their characters aren't as strong.
No.
Like, they don't really do anything different, and they're...
So would you give the live action one the same score as the animated?
Yeah, 3 out of
Or
5.
would you join me?
Because I can watch it and I will put it on. Because I've recently watched it with Ben because he hadn't watched it. And he said, yeah, it was all right, but he didn't think it needed to be remade.
No, it's not a...
I'll also say as well, the actress that plays the Blue Fairy, she's British, and her name is Cynthia something.
Okay, no. I only knew Tom Hanks was in it.
Oh.
Everything else is new.
So, yeah, she's amazing. Like, her voice is absolutely amazing. And she, although she's an actress, she's kind of one of them that everybody knows that she can sing. So she does a lot of side things where she performs big musical hits with an orchestra and things like that for like special shows. She was, her voice was amazing. So the song was done very well, with justice. It was not ruined.
Do you know what I just thought? You know when I said listen to the Linda Ronstadt
song?
It's not When You Wish Upon a Star.
Oh, wasn't that?
No.
Oh, did you get it mixed up?
Cinderella.
Oh.
Dream is a wish your heart
makes.
Still got the saxophone in it. I still recommend listening to it. We'll come back to it. Cinderella's not far away.
Yeah.
Write it in your pad.
Okay. So that's Pinocchio done.
It is. I mean, the only other thing is we mentioned it in the last one is you mentioned about Disneyland Paris having the Pinocchio ride.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely can't remember if Walt Disney World has one. If it does, then it clearly wasn't brilliant.
I think it's the same if they do have it.
Two of the things is Pinocchio as a puppet appears as a little Easter egg in Rapunzel, Tangled with Rapunzel. It's in the bar, the Snuggly Duckling.
Oh, yeah.
She's swinging around on her hair,
and he's in there.
In the rafters.
Okay.
And it's a
I'll have to look out for that.
Yes.
I don't know how I've missed that.
And Jiminy Cricket becomes the first repeat character to appear in another Disney classic because he was in
Fun and Fancy Free. Yeah, one of Jacob's favourites.
Yes, I haven't watched that for quite a while, so I'll be interested.
That's a good one.
I do remember liking it.
Yeah, it's watchable, which is the main thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. I can't believe how long we've ended up going. I didn't think we would manage to go over an hour with Pinocchio. I thought we would just struggle. But yeah, we had a lot to say.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah. Remember to follow. You can follow us on Instagram at The Jamie and Stephen Show. You can also email us.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
What?
You can follow us on Threads.
Oh, yeah, Threads. I forgot about Threads. Yes, you can follow us on Threads. You can email us. Give us your score out of 5. If you think Pinocchio should have been remade and what you thought of the remake. Email us at thejamieandstevenshow@outlook.com.
And yeah, if we've been talking about something and we can't remember an actor's name or we can't remember something, let us know.
Yeah. Or if we got something wrong, keep
that to yourself.
Yeah.
don't involve us.
But yeah, and next week will be Bambi.
No, it won't.
No, Fantasia.
Fantasia.
It's Fantasia.
Yeah. If we've got something wrong, remember to email. Yes,
Fantasia. Yes.
I know more
musical extravaganza.
I know more facts about Fantasia than I do actually about the film itself.
Okay.
I think I've only watched it once.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was one of... Well, I'll save it for the
Yes.
next week. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.